Hey, thanks for joining me once again on the Third Eye of Providence. This is a update to my channel, of course, as I have already discussed here. In the month of March, I was planning on doing some different content, and I wanted to bring you guys some spiritual community conversations. And on top of that, I wanted to expand the offerings that I'm bringing to the collective. So basically, this week I decided I was being led to take a break from my spiritual practice, right? I had dug in so deeply and I was really focused on changing up my offerings and being of service to the collective to the point that I was pushing myself beyond my means. Now, why I'm on the channel today by myself here is because I wanted to talk about some spiritual trappings. So, on Tuesdays, I release new content on this channel, and today is not Tuesday. It might be a Tuesday when you're watching this, but just know that I struggled to meet my deadline this week, and it was an arbitrary deadline that I set for myself, and no one else is holding me to any standard of perfection or accomplishment or achievements, and that it was my inner critic that was fighting with me about not putting out content on the day that I have determined is the day that I provide offerings to the collectives here. So I had done a video, and it was something I kind of, again, rushed, but I felt spirit guided me to have the conversation. And basically, in the video, I talk about how important it is to take a break from your spiritual practices, especially if it's something you do every day. Or a lot of us do monthly moon rituals, or, we do offerings to certain gods on certain days of the weeks and things like this. And we feel so compelled to commit ourselves to doing it all the time. This is doing the work, is like some terminology that we hear a lot in the spiritual community. And I talked in this video about how important it was to have grace and be in flow and allow yourself time off, right? So that you're not escaping through spiritual practice, that you are grounded in reality, because the world moves on, you know what I mean? And out the external matrix does not stop just because you need to, buckle down and meditate for 5 hours on this particular day because of the alignment of the planets. And so I had done this whole video talking about that, talking about how important it is for us to take breaks and to ground our spiritual practice, because we are operating a lot in the higher realms. And so basically, I'm talking all about this video. I'm talking all about this in that content, and then I struggled to upload it because upon review of the video before putting it up, just was really unhappy with not only how I sounded and how I presented the information that I was getting from Spirit, but I also really struggled with how I looked in the video. And the lighting was really bad. You could tell I was like kind of disheveled and just thrown it together. And yeah, it didn't meet the standard and expectation of quality that I wanted to present myself on this channel as. So I had this whole fight with myself, this the inner critic, and I had this internal dialogue that was telling me that I was terrible, I wasn't good enough, and that I looked gross and nobody was going to listen to me, and all these things that keep us from really just doing what it is that we set out to do, right? This is like just the inside dialogue that is like a negative self-talk reel, is really just to validate the fears that we have that someone else is not going to think that about me. They're not going to, or maybe they do, and if they do, that's okay. You know what I mean? It doesn't, it doesn't impact the quality of what I'm presenting. Um, and so basically, after struggling with myself about my self worth and putting up that content, I realized, I needed to watch this again. I needed to hear that message again, is that it was okay, that I did not like the way that that conversation came out, and it was okay that I did not meet my arbitrary deadline, and that I needed to hear myself tell myself that I needed to allow myself to have grace. Um, and so I did. And I waited and I took my time today. And I feel I took a nap. I felt refreshed. I took a shower. I got dressed. I feel gorgeous. And I feel ready to share that struggle with everyone and share the content that Spirit wanted me to share, and not force myself to present it in an appropriate and timely manner, and do it in a way that I feel good about it, right? Why would Spirit want me and push me and force me into doing something that really made me feel terrible? So it wasn't Spirit, it was ego that was trying to tell me, just do it, just do it. And I want to talk about how that is the matrix. That's toxic productivity. And we are really settled in a culture that glorifies grinding and producing content and new, always consuming. And this is really damaging when you're trying to do spiritual work and you have these paradigms that you're applying it to. And a lot of it is subconscious. A lot of it we're not, we're operating, we as spiritual people as we are, ego can still manipulate us in this way to make us think that what we're doing isn't enough and we have to offer more and we have to go deeper and we have to constantly be grinding ourselves and doing the work and looking at our shadow all the time. And when we're not doing this, we're failing our spiritual practice. When we're not constantly examining and picking apart all the different scabs that we're healing, right? That we're somehow less of a spiritual person, right? Because we want to just like constantly be doing uncovering of the layers in the shadow. And this was something it all struck me as connected and related, is that at a certain point we need to pause. We need to make space and have gratitude and be present. This healing work is in and of itself its own trapping system, right? Because there's no end to it ever. And the only thing we can do is be present, and reflecting is one of the biggest things that we need to do in order to be grounded in the matrix, grounded in our physical third dimensional reality as spiritual beings. We need to pause, we need to stay present, but we also need to reflect on how much we've done, all the progress we've made, and really have appreciation for how far we've come. Because if we don't take time to do that, we're constantly pushing ourselves, and we will be burning both ends of the candle. You can't constantly be pushing yourself to heal and heal and heal and not pause and allow the growth to settle in. And this is something that is really deep for me because I've been experiencing a lot of a massive amount of spiritual expansion over the last few months because I have dug so deep into my daily spiritual practice. Twice a day, mantras and prayers and meditation and yoga and affirmations. And the results are amazing. I feel it. And at the same time, I'm still experiencing setbacks. They are simultaneous, and this is natural. And I have to be in grace and flow and recognize that for every 3 steps forward, there will be 1 step backward, and that will challenge us to step back up. And this is the point. This is how we reach the summit. And that it's all part of this, right? So I give myself grace. I recognized that I needed a break. Spirit was telling me to share this, but I also needed to hear myself. And so that's why I wanted to come on today and just, express to you guys that even though, I have real ambitions and directions and things I want to do with this channel, and spirit guides me to reflect and give you guys a lot of this information and share my own personal spiritual journey. There's still a lot of stuff that's under the surface, and the struggle and the shadow work and the healing that I'm doing is sometimes a big barrier to getting on here and being vulnerable and authentic. And I think a lot of us recognize that authenticity, and we appreciate when people are being real and they're being, the higher embodiment of their higher self. They're trying, right? We see them, and it's inspiring to us to also want to do that. And very rarely are people being open and honest about where they're failing and when they have setbacks, and how they are struggling themselves with the work, because we want to be seen as healers. We want to be seen as people who are leading the way and people who have done it, right? And the reality is that there is no end to that journey. It's all about just walking the path. And anyways, that's what I'm doing. And I hope that any of this resonates with you. If you've been really digging into your spirituality and it's been really amazing and you've seen a lot of progress, like, I'm right there with you. And if you've been struggling with needing to take a break, I'm right there with you. And if want to be a guiding light to the world by, embodying your spiritual self, me too. And if you also have these demon aspects inside of you that are constantly trying to tear you apart from the inside, same. And it's all connected and it's all natural, and we're all constantly experiencing these in a multidimensionalness, and that is the purpose of being a spiritual being in a physical form, right? Is that we encompass both the shadow and the light, and you cannot have one without the other. And sometimes the tug and the tug of war goes in a different direction than you anticipate, but this is actually to serve you to elevate to the next level as well. So hopefully you're there with me and we're walking that path together. And thank you for checking out this content. And I would appreciate if you resonate, or if any of this is aligned with what you're experiencing currently, you could leave a comment below so that other people also know they're not the only ones struggling with embodiment of spiritual practices and connecting with their community. um, and then thank you again for everybody who's hit the subscribe, who's checked out my interviews. I want to mention too that if you want to be on the channel, if you want to connect, if you want to talk more about even this, please reach out to me. I'd love to have you on. And stay tuned. I'm going to have my zodiac readings for the signs for the month of April up really soon. In the meantime, come check out my Instagram channel there. I have pick a card readings I do every week that are free, and I'm also available for private readings if you want me to dig into your spiritual journey and be of service to you and offer you guidance. I would really love and appreciate the opportunity to do that. Thank you guys so much. Love ya.